Hey, Bookkeeping Side Hustle Group. It's Kate. It's October 28th in the afternoon, and we're so glad that you're here with us. I've got a panel with me today, and I have been very, very excited about this. Little background, what you're listening to. We're here today to talk about Xero accounting software. And I'm not personally a Xero user, but as someone who's been leading the Bookkeeping Side Hustle community for a while, I want to equip y'all with good resources and good knowledge. And when I started my business a couple years ago, I felt like I really didn't. Now looking back, I realized I didn't really make a decision about what bookkeeping software I was going to use. I just kind of followed the crowd, I would guess. I'm happy with where my bookkeeping business is and what I've done, but my goal and what I hope for y'all, which I'll get out of this discussion, is I want you to actually decide. I feel like I really didn't make a decision, and I don't know where I would have ended, where I would have landed if I had made the decision. I might still have ended up where I am and not using Xero, but I might not have. And so I'm wanting to have y'all sort of have a different story than I do in that regard. So I worked with Xero. I told them I've got a lot of new people who might benefit from learning about this platform, and they helped me put together this little panel we got today. So I'm here with three expert Xero users, and I'm going to ask them questions, and you will also be able to ask them questions if you chime in the comments, and we'll try to get most of them answered. And I think right now what I'll do is I'll have these folks introduce themselves. I'd like to start with Kat. Kat, tell us who you are, your company, where you're from, how long you've been using Xero, how you found Xero, just that kind of stuff.
My company is Geek Girl Financial Services. I also have a second one called TNG Enterprises. They do the same thing. So I was introduced to Xero through a friend of mine who actually became my first client. She had been researching accounting software for her nonprofit acupuncture clinic and came across Xero, felt that it was the best software out there for what she needed, and also cheaper than just about anything else on the market. So between her and I've been using Xero since 2015, I think.
Oh, wow.
She was my only client for a long time. So yeah, we're based in Phoenix, and now we have like 10 clients on Xero between the two companies. So
awesome. Well, we'll ask you a lot of questions. So y'all, if you know Kat, she's been in the Bookkeeping Side Hustle group for a while. Ask your questions in the comments. Yeah, and let us know where you're from. And also, before we get to the next introduction, we will be doing some Xero trivia throughout. So I encourage you to stay tuned. It'll be like, first person to get the answer right. So it'll be a scramble and it'll be fun. And Xero's going to hook you up with some good swag. Next, we'll keep it ladies first. Amanda, tell us who you are.
Hey, thanks, Kate. Yeah, so I'm Amanda Aguilard. I am a CPA with a practice down in New Orleans. I found Xero back in 2013, I think. So I have a big public background. I stopped working when I had babies for a while. And then when I went back into the workforce and the kids were 7 and 8, I decided to try this accounting thing. And I didn't mean to start my own firm, but just kind of accidentally did. And back then, I knew even in 2013, I wanted an entirely cloud-based practice because I wanted to be available for the children. And so back then I was looking at general ledger platforms, and there was nothing that was great until I saw Xero. And I saw Xero at a CPA Society conference in Louisiana, and was just like, I saw cash coding. These guys know. I saw cash coding. I was like, that's for me. That's what I want. And so I built my whole practice truly on Xero. We've been Xero exclusive the whole time. And I guess over the last 7+ years, have just dug deep into Xero. I only use Xero. I am a Xero national ambassador. I just wrote a book on Xero called Xero for Accountants and Bookkeepers that will be published in the spring of 2021. So I'm definitely a Xero chick.
Yeah, and we'll get Amanda to give some free books away whenever that book comes out to this group. Lots of people still like to learn from a book. So I think it's been a resource that's been needed. All right, the man in the room, Justin, tell us about you and your company and how you found Xero.
It's a hard act to follow. I have not published in the Xero world. I apologize. But yeah, so I have a business management and accounting practice, managerial accounting. A lot of my clients are interior designers, and so I use a specific software for the interior design industry. But everyone else that's not in that industry, I use Xero. I came across Xero maybe 3 years ago when I had a general contractor client who had some pretty complicated, needed some customization as far as his bookkeeping. I wanted everything to be cloud-based as well, so I think, it was literally through Googling, online softwares that aren't one of the big major conglomerates that everyone's familiar with. And I found Xero. I really liked it. It's evolved even over the last 3 years. They're always improving and adding functionalities. And, I think it's a little more of a sophisticated accounting system than some of the things we were talking earlier. I was talking about how I think a lot of these sort of do-it-yourself accounting programs are made really for people that aren't even working with a bookkeeper or an accountant. They were modeled around someone, a mom and pop shop where the mom and the pop are running their own bookkeeping and books through something, again, like these large softwares that are available. And if you're working with a bookkeeper or an accountant, I think, there's more sophisticated options out there, and Xero is one of them. So I think Xero is a good mix between sophisticated enough to be a more serious bookkeeping system, which is to say there are some controls in there that some of these larger, easier to use, I shouldn't say easier to use, intended for novice users don't have a lot of the controls in there that Xero has. And so I think it's sophisticated enough to really manage your company, but also user-friendly enough that you can really use it on your own. I train people who want to do it themselves in an hour. So it's not really training. It's more of just giving a tour of the system. This is where that is. This is where that is. And people, find it very user-friendly, but enough of a control system that it's really legitimate to run your business.
All right. Well, so clearly I brought y'all, fans of Xero. And I will have a chance. They're true experts. So it's a really great chance for the whole lot of y'all that are listening to ask questions. I do want to point to a resource that I've created, bookkeepingsidehustle.com/Xero, Xero. bookkeepingsidehustle.com/Xero. That's where I plan to host anything related to Xero. So it's already live. I'll put this video there as well. But as resource, when Amanda's book comes out, we'll have links to that. As Xero, starts to ramp up their in-person gatherings again, which they will learn about, that'll be there too. So don't hesitate to come to that that link as a resource, and always tag me or tag the Xero ambassadors in the group, or Amanda or Kat or Justin, and they'll get your questions answered. So I have a couple questions. We're going to start with that, but I got my eye on your comments as well. So I'd like to start off with Justin. There's a number of platforms to pick from. You kind of mentioned this, but tell us a little bit more about why you selected Xero specifically, and maybe even you said 3 years that you've been using it, just how has it risen to the top?
Sure. So again, I had a client. I'm in Portland, Oregon. My business it was based in New York City, but I relocated to Portland when I realized that everything could be done remotely. And so I really wanted, a cloud-based system that didn't depend on me logging into my clients' computers to use their desktop-based system. And, I did a little bit of research outside of the big ones that you've all heard of that you used to be able to buy an egghead software in the 80s. I mean, those companies have literally been around since then. And I think a lot of especially their online model is just sort of an adaptation of the same platform they've had for 30 years. And so I really wanted to try something that was a little bit different. I think actually looking back on it, I may have had a friend who worked there or something and sent me a link, but honestly, I don't really remember. It was a few years ago and I haven't looked back. So, it's a good online system, totally, cloud-based. You can add your CPA, you can add any other advisors, so they have access to your books. So, it's just like I was saying before. I think it's sophisticated enough to be a controlled accounting system, but user-friendly enough and intuitive enough that, my clients who are not in any way in the accounting or, bookkeeping field can work with it. They have really good bank imports. You can get bank feeds, depending. That's where you log into your bank through Xero, and it just automatically brings your transactions in. The reconciliation process is totally streamlined as opposed to the previous system where you would have your statement. I'm still doing this 10 times a day. You got your statement, you've got a highlighter. I don't know where my highlighters are. It's very weird. I've usually got them all over my desk. You're highlighting, you're making the dots, you're checking things off. The way that Xero does reconciliation is just much easier. You either have the bank feed or you can import a month for the statements. I have clients who don't want me to have access to their bank feeds for whatever reasons. Not everyone wants you to have that. So you can still go in and import the statement, put it in Xero, and it's matching to what you've already got in there. The reports are good. It's a full general ledger function. I don't know I'm assuming since this is a bookkeeping group, there's a lot of bookkeepers watching this right now. So, as long as you have access to double entry bookkeeping, and you have to get a little bit creative because, and not in a bad way, this goes back to the control system. There are certain accounts you cannot make general ledger entries to. And so we were talking about this before, just, it's got a good suspense account so that if you want to get a little bit more sophisticated with what you're doing, but still be correct, you can really make anything work. And so, I think, like I said, I'm repeating myself, but it's a good mix between enough controls that you can't screw everything up, and also the functionalities to be a little more sophisticated and make a transaction that works accounting wise work in the system.
Okay. Yeah. As long as you know accounting,
Right.
Xero will serve you well.
Yeah,
Amanda or Kat, go ahead.
So just to that point, I don't recommend that my clients necessarily who don't have, I tell them always, call me and discuss something with me for 5 minutes, as opposed to making a bunch of entries that will take us 2 hours to unravel and redo. So for all of you bookkeepers out there, especially if you're just starting out, I got a lot of years dealing with this stuff. Always ask your clients to reach out to you if they have a question, because that quick question will save what can be days of work unraveling.
True.
Yeah. Can I just add on to what Justin was saying about specifically around journal entries in Xero? So Xero is built to not need to make journal entries, right? Journal entries are where things go to be hidden. They are not as traceable as true transactions. But there is a common misperception that you can't adjust cash. You can, it's just called a spend money or received money transaction. So that's how you make a journal entry to cash. I think sometimes new users to Xero get very frustrated because they're used to, in other systems, being able to post journal entries to make adjustments. You can't do that in the journal entry function of Xero. You just use the spend or receive money. And then I would say another reason, like I love Xero for my clients, is that Xero was born in the cloud. There was never a desktop version of Xero, and Xero always had an open API, which means that from day one, developers were able to build other software that connects with Xero. So to date, I think there's something like 700 other software packages that you can integrate into Xero or with Xero in one way or another. There are also an unlimited number of packages that you can use Zapier to integrate with Xero with as well. So what that means for me is I can build a completely customized ecosystem for any of my clients using Xero as the general ledger in the middle. So I'm using my hands because I'm from the South and that's how we talk about. So you put the Xero general ledger in the middle of this ecosystem, and then you can pick the pieces that best fit your clients. So that might be payroll, it might be a point of sale system, it could be a payment system, but all of those are interchangeable. And as anybody who has looked at software, cloud software, knows, those packages change all the time. And so you may have needs, your client needs may change, or the software may change, and you might need to pull things out and make adjustments. But having a good, clean general ledger in the middle is key, and Xero is excellent at that. There's no frills, no complications, very streamlined chart of accounts, great for being the center of that ecosystem.
Kat, anything from you? Why it rose to the top for you? You had multiple to pick from? Multiple platforms to pick from? No?
Kat, I think she was asking you to say no.
Oh, Kat, was there anything?
So honest to God, I don't like QuickBooks.
Uh-oh.
To be fair, I prefer desktop over online just for functionality purposes. But when I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm ready to start my business, and my client came to me and was like, here, look at this software. I was like, okay. And I set up an account. I got into it. I got set up as a partner, and honestly, I've never looked back. I love it. It's very, again, user friendly. I can put someone down in front of Xero and they can figure it out. The client that I just signed up a couple months ago, I didn't have to train her. She's like, let me figure it out, and if I have questions, I'll ask you. And she was able to within a couple of hours. So
All right.
I love the ability for the general business owner to be able to get in and do what they need to do and see where they're at without having to ask questions.
All right. Well, I have some more questions to get to. I think there's a couple that are going to get answered that I see in the comments, y'all, so I don't want y'all to leave. But Aisha, we're going to answer yours, and Vanessa, we're going to answer yours as well as we get through the questions that I have. Right now, I want to ask a trivia question, though. So when I will be watching the comments, and it's going to be first answer, and I'll just holler your name out whenever you get a right answer. And if after about 15 seconds we don't get a right answer, it'll be closest. How many countries is Xero in today? That is a trivia question.
Tell them what the prizes are, Kate.
So the prizes, you're going to get a link from the Xero team to their whole swag store. I think there's a cup. I think there's, I don't want to misspeak. I'm sorry. T-shirt. What else, Amanda? Do you know?
I just know that there was a coffee, like a travel coffee mug in there that I was
yeah,
like,
travel coffee mug. Who we got? Oh, Liz, 33. You're way low. 40, Ben. No. Come on, guys.
Xero is a global company.
It's the point of this question, y'all, is like it's really global. What do we got? Multiply by 3, everybody. All right, I think it's long enough. Nick is closest. Nick Oz. Everybody stop. Nick, you say 150, but it's 180. The Xero team told me it's 180. That's like the Olympics, man. That's like every country almost. Like what is like 190 maybe something. Anyway, it's global. That's cool. Congrats, Nick. Some of y'all, there's not that many countries. All right, here we go. We are going to keep moving on to our next question. I'm going to start with Kat. Kat, which clients do you think are most attracted to Xero and why?
Typically, from what I have found, startups, because the pricing is cheaper than pretty much anything else out there, particularly if they don't need to do any invoicing through their accounting software. For example, if they're using PayPal or Square for invoicing their clients, then you have the ability to set them up on the partner level plan called Cashbook, which is only $7 a month. It gives you the full reporting capabilities of any other subscription level in Xero, and live bank feeds, the whole 9 yards. The only thing that it doesn't do is the invoicing and entering bills. So if a client doesn't need that, it's a great option. So like I said, startups, because $7 a month is something that's affordable for somebody who's got $200 in income for the month.
Okay. Yeah. What about you, Justin? Have you or Amanda? What clients do you see attracted to Xero?
I'm taking notes from Amanda. Please go ahead.
Well, we have our practice is mostly professional services. So we have a lot of law firm, tons of law firm clients. That's our specialty. Other professional services like real estate agents, marketing consultants. But I will say, like, as I mentioned before, even if you have a heavy complex client, like a construction client, like a restaurant client, you can still use those operational softwares that are specific to those industries and use Xero as a general ledger. So even though I wouldn't say, I would not advise somebody trying to run all of a construction company within Xero, but there are a lot of great add-ons that makes sense for, and then using Xero as a very clean general ledger underneath. So truly, I don't think there's any company that you really can't run on Xero. I mean, I know folks that some of my peers run $50, $70 million companies on Xero, at $30 a month, which is crazy.
Wow. I'm sad to see. It looks like we lost Justin. Maybe he'll come back. I don't know. Hope we didn't run him off. I'm actually having some questions about pricing since we've already heard that we've heard $30, we've heard $7.
Yeah.
Can you, maybe Amanda, I'll ask you,
Sure.
Do you know the pricing off the top of your head? Oh, Justin's back.
Yeah, so the business edition pricing. So there are as Kat mentioned, there are some partner priced packages like $3 and $7, which are very simple, clean. Those are built for partners doing client books. So it's not really made for clients to run, as Kat mentioned, run invoices and do a whole lot of stuff. But those $3 and $7 packages are available only through Xero partners. You have to pay for them. But if you are someone who maybe does a lot of tax returns and you've got to do year-end write-up, once a year, it's a really efficient way to just spend the $3 or $7 a month, get those bank feeds, get all the transactions in, and code it once. The business edition plans, which would be like the retail plans that anybody can log on to Xero and purchase for their business, are currently $9, $30, and $60 a month. So $9 is starter. There are a couple limits on that, but they've recently really expanded those limits. So it used to be 5 invoices and 5 bills. Now it's in a certain number of bank transactions. Some of those limits have been changed or eliminated. So for $9 a month, it is a great starter package. The $30 a month is what's called growing. It's like the standard edition package. That's full service accounting. That includes unlimited invoices and bills, cash coding, all the advisor tools. And then the fanciest of fancy packages is $60 a month, and that includes all the general ledger software, but also Xero Expenses, which is a functionality very similar to something like Expensify, where you can use it to manage expense receipts and expense reimbursements. And then also Xero Projects, which is a project costing tool. So for $60 a month, it's a lot of software. It's a lot of software. In fact, I think I'm gonna write some training specifically around it, because I don't think that everybody really understands the power of Xero Projects and Xero Expenses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I hope that answers the question about pricing. Obviously, y'all, you have to, check the website and it'll be there. But I think that's really cool that they have those partner plans. I can actually envision, I've had the cheaper plan where you're just trying to do something like a whole year. I mean, that would be golden. And if you can rock and roll in the software, I mean, you can get a whole business's books done in.
And I do want to make sure that it's clear, Xero does not charge for users. So any of these plans are unlimited users. I know other platforms charge after 3 or however many. Xero has unlimited users included with all their subscriptions.
That's really fantastic. So like Justin was saying, you invite the CPA, but you can also invite the employees if you need to, if you've got an admin assistant in a business that needs, and
with different permissions. So if you have someone you want to just do certain entries for you, I mean, if you're sending it over to your CPA, you obviously give them full access because they want to be able to get in and do everything, but you can add certain user permissions.
Awesome.
Sorry for my
okay.
Please.
Let us. Oh, actually, I had made a note to ask about the nonprofit pricing. Did you mention that, Kat, about the special pricing?
So basically what it is it's a 25% discount off of the general retail plans.
Okay.
The partner level plans don't have a nonprofit discount. I actually asked my rep about that a couple months ago because I'm trying to move a new client to online. So
you have a rep that you talk to?
Yeah.
Like,
And
know
I love
the
it.
name.
It's nice to know that there's just one person that I can be like, hey, can we do this?
Okay, cool. Not everybody has that if you don't use Xero. Okay. I'm gonna throw in another trivia question. So I'm getting my comments ready so I can watch the answers. Okay, so this is Price is Right rules again. If you go over, it doesn't count.
That is not the Price is Right rules. That is not Price is Right rules.
Oh, what's Price is Right rules?
You can't go over.
Yeah, sorry. So if you go over, it doesn't count. That's what I'm saying. We're doing Price is Right rules, so you have to stay under, but try to get it.
Okay.
What percentage of women make up Xero's executive team? Come on, come on, come on. T-shirt, coffee mug. Who's it going to be? There's a lot of you listening. What percentage of Xero's executive team are women? Am I missing it? Are y'all hearing me? I see people coming. 95% no. Too high. Price is Right rules. 65 no. 68 no. 60. I got Glenda Kelly. The answer is 60% with Glenda Kelly. Wahoo! Hopefully that made your day. You'll be hearing from Xero to order a prize. Okay, next question. Amanda, I'd like to start with you. How would someone who's listening today, and there's a whole lot of people right now, and more will listen later, how will they get started to work with Xero? They're intrigued. They liked you. They like Justin just fine. No, I'm just kidding. They liked Kat, and they think they want to build their practice on Xero. So what do they do now?
Yeah, so the first step is going to be to sign a partner agreement, to get a partner agreement from Xero. And those can be found either at Xero.com, or I know that you have it on your Bookkeeping Side Hustle Xero page. So I know you'll share the link with.
Yep, I'll do that. I can do that right now too.
Yeah, so there's a link there for anyone who's a bookkeeper, accountant, advisor, financial advisor who wants to be a Xero partner. They just need to send in send in an application for that agreement. They'll be contacted by Xero and get set up. They'll get a free software subscription to run their own books on, so they can really play around in it. And then once that happens, probably the next most important step is to get certified. So Xero has a certification program. They run those certification courses either on demand through their learning center, or they do them also like virtually live, I think once or twice a month. So get Xero certified, and that certification will then allow you to add the Xero badge to your website and your marketing materials. And then as you add clients under Xero and get more comfortable and get more clients on, you'll earn points as an advisor. And there is a matrix as you earn more points by adding clients or getting access to client accounts, adding software like HubDoc or Xero, other Xero owned software. Those increased points equate to increased software discounts. So you will get discounted pricing on software as an advisor, and you'll get other benefits too, like co-marketing funds, so that you can do marketing pieces or redo your website. Or back when we used to be able to see people in real life, we would have parties, and you get benefits like that. So I would really encourage people to do that if they're thinking about becoming a Xero advisor, because that partner agreement really unlocks a lot of things for you, not just certification, but other learning events. Xero's excellent about producing educational events. Those can be really specific about, like, how do you convert from one software into Xero, or how do you use certain pieces of software more deeply than what you would learn on certification. So recommend that folks look into doing that if they're interested.
This is relevant to this. Is there CPE credits for these certifications for the advisor certification?
It depends. I don't think they're doing that right now. Maybe somebody on the back end can correct me. I'm not sure that those are CPE qualified. There are certain things that Xero will do that are CPE qualified.
I asked Xero when I wrote my blog article, y'all, to accompany this. They said it takes about 6 hours to complete on average, to get that advisor certification. So, it's free. 6 hours is not nothing, but it's not too much. And I think you would probably, I'm of the opinion that go through this process to get certified, and you'll probably quickly know if this is the software for you, you know, and if not, move on, build your business. Don't get stuck. Don't get hung up on the software. Just go with your gut. Does it feel right? Do you like the fact that they have like a local rep? Do you, if they drive you crazy, move on. Like that's, but you'll know when you're in that learning platform, because I assume you have to be update like every year, right? So like you're going to have to be in there. You're going to have to be doing the education. You're going to have to be onboarding clients. Like, how do you feel? And that 6 hours would, I think, be a good taste. That is the path to becoming a advisor, a Xero advisor. Trying to think if there's anything else to ask here. Let me ask a couple from the audience right now. Someone asked about real estate companies and investors. Any reason why Xero wouldn't work with those kind of companies? I mean, any
honestly,
company.
Yeah, I can't think. It's such an open platform. I can't think of an industry that I would say don't. You know, you don't. I wouldn't recommend using it.
Okay, fair enough. I am. Okay, Nick is asking. Oh, sorry, Nick. Rephrase your question. I'm not understanding it. And then the last one is someone asked sort of like favorite apps or like most used apps. So Amanda, I know that you're super familiar with that. What would you say is maybe the most common connections people use that are really bang up app connections?
Like going down a rabbit hole, but I would say probably if I look at my client base, more than 90% are using Gusto for payroll. Gusto integrates really nicely with Xero. It is the preferred payroll provider.
There must be like co-branding there because I have 90% of my people on Gusto too. That may be, yeah.
Yeah, that works really, really, really nicely. HubDoc is another one because Xero now owns HubDoc. It's included in these business edition plans. HubDoc is a document management processing software, so using it to read bill data and images into Xero. So those would be sort of general, everybody probably needs. There are industry-specific software platforms like Clio is one for law firms. Shopify would be one for e-commerce. Although most people don't want to you don't really want to integrate Shopify directly to Xero. You want to use something like A2X. But there would be industry-specific software platforms. And then, you know, what's really hot right now is bill payment software. So a lot of new players to the market. Some of them do integrate with Xero. Some of them don't yet. But Bill.com is probably the most common or the oldest. I say oldest, the one that's been around the longest for bill payment. But there are other ones like Beam, which do international payments. I have just started using Relay, which is technically a bank, but it has this awesome bill payment piece to it that is super sexy. And so it integrates directly. It has a direct bank feed into Xero. So Relay is another one I've been using. I'm happy to answer specific questions about software if somebody has questions. But
fair enough.
Hundreds.
Cool. Joanna, you are asking, are there any Facebook groups where Xero users hang out? I'll answer that. In my article, bookkeeping.com/Xero, sort of towards the bottom, I tried, like one of my headings is like, how do I hang out with other Xero users? Because I want y'all to get to know each other, and that's how you're going to learn too. And I think I have like 4 groups listed there, and if anyone checks out that article and thinks I need to add one, let me know and I can add it in. Janet's asking, can a husband and wife team with 2 different businesses under one S Corp be run with tracking? Is there like a tracking function?
Yeah. So Xero has these custom fields called tracking categories, which would be somewhat equivalent to class or location in other software. And there are some really innovative uses that I've seen of tracking categories. So like a common use would be, you have a company with lots of locations. You can apply that category or that special field to any transaction in Xero, right? So what that means is that later on in reporting, you can slice and dice and filter by those tracking categories. But I've had people use them for cool things like on nonprofits, like grants. So if certain grants are supposed to be used for certain transactions or certain kinds of expenses, tracking category for grants or funding sources. We've used them for attorneys. But yeah, I would say that you could definitely, if you want to be able to slice and dice the reporting out, tracking categories is the way to do it. I think it's probably somewhat underused, to be honest.
So that would be similar, like a category in the other larger softwares.
Well,
I'm sorry. I meant department.
Yeah. So I wouldn't think of it as being. I mean, to be honest, I'm not that familiar with how those things are used and how that leads to different reporting. But if you think about it as just being a custom field, a tag almost. Yeah. So you have 2 categories and you can have 100 options underneath. So you basically get 200 tags that you can use to filter. Yeah.
Yep.
Someone's asking about, does Xero have a tax program? No.
For income tax, no.
I'm guessing. I think that was an error. Sorry, I don't know who it was. I wrote it down. No,
it doesn't. It doesn't, but it does do a good job of most tax platforms you can import trial balances into. So what Xero is good at is create the ability to quickly create a clean trial balance. You can take that and import it into a tax package.
Okay. Couple more minutes left to post your questions. While you're thinking of that, I am going to ask the last trivia question. So this is our 3rd prize to give away. And a hint, you can Google this. Where did Xero buy the domain Xero.com, Xero.com? Who did they buy that from? Anybody know?
I want to meet the person who doesn't have to Google that.
I wonder where, like, they just like read random articles on the internet while they're sitting around, I guess. I don't know. Anybody know? No, not GoDaddy. It was like someone owned it. Who'd they buy it from? Who'd they buy the domain from? Someone famous or related to someone kind of
Peripherally famous.
Peripherally related to someone famous. Nope, not Australia. No, not Xerox. Not a bad guess. Actually, that's probably really good. You missed typing, and you get, a subdomain that gets routed.
I'd give that person a prize.
Jay Kimmelman knows, but he doesn't get a vote. Supposedly, y'all can Google this. I actually didn't try. Xero gave me these, so no. I'll give y'all about 2 more seconds, and then we'll just have to, I don't know, have another one of these parties and give it away. No one? Okay. Mr. Wonderful. I don't know who that is. So what I was told was that this not old, are they still around? A band called Linkin Park, they had a fan group, and the fan group had the domain, and they weren't wanting to sell it, but then they eventually needed to sell it. So no one got it. Oh, well, only 2 people get prizes today. Actually, speaking of prizes, Justin, can you inspire us with, here's one little thing.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a user and you want a prize,
if you have
the hurdle is only to have a baby. So
we'll send you a Xero, which makes the whole thing worth it.
You get a little baby onesie. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and say something that I think is really cool about Xero that they do. I think it's because I had connected with the Xero account rep 3 years ago, but I see her post on LinkedIn, and anytime anyone in her group earns a new status at Xero, where I think it's bronze, silver, gold, she shouts them out on LinkedIn, and every time I see that, I think it's really cool and like personalized, and it's not this particular gal who I'm connected to on LinkedIn. It's not a rote message. Like each one is like tailored. Like, I'm so proud of Geek Girl Financial's, Kat's company who did achieve the new status. I don't know. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember being tagged when I hit bronze. I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, you're like, because half of us are like, what the heck do I put on LinkedIn? And you're like, well, did something for me. Thank you. So anyway, well, I'm not seeing any more questions. I'm seeing some follow-ups to Linkin Park, but so I think we've hit most everything. Please, y'all reach out to these folks in the Bookkeeping Side Hustle group if you have more questions about Xero. I thank y'all all for your time. Did I miss anything that we need to be talking about? Tell me now.
There's that community page, Kate, where folks who are in certain areas of the country can see what kind of events are coming to their community. So
That's right.
Xero does have pods around the country in most of the major cities that are called communities that have a dedicated account manager and dedicated resources for that community. So if you go to the link, I don't know if we can, maybe somebody on the back end can drop it in the Facebook thread, but these are specific links to those community-driven events. And don't get discouraged if you don't see your city on here. Just scroll to the bottom. There are Xero resources not in one of those cities. I'm in Netherlands. I am not one of those cities, but I still have a dedicated account manager that takes care of me. So,
okay, and that's the the Xero community page. So we'll get that link dropped here in the chat too. So I hope this was informative. Again, the goal here is just for you to make an educated decision about which software you choose. I'm going to go ahead and throw this in because this is what I believe and it's my show. I think if you're going to stay small, it is really, if you can help it at all, pick one software and go with it. If you're going to, like, I don't have a lot of clients and I like it that way. And if I had, 2 clients on QuickBooks and 1 client on Wave and 3 clients on Xero, that's just not super efficient. So just, as a lot of people, listen to me for advice. And so if you are wanting to do this on a smaller scale, I really think that's kind of critical to being efficient. And I worry that some people can think like, oh, I'm just going to go get all these softwares and I'm going to work in all these softwares. And if you can avoid that, I think it would be wise.
Good advice.
And you'll get that economies of scale, and your keys will know, your fingers will know where to go on the keyboard easily, and you'll know. It'll just, that's my advice. So I'm going to wrap us up. I just really am grateful to all 3 of y'all for your time today. You didn't have to do this, so I appreciate it. Thanks to everyone who's listening. Thank you for Xero for the prizes, and I will get this uploaded soon. So if anyone didn't, well, obviously if you're hearing me, you don't need to watch the upload. I will be in the group as always, and tag us if you have any more questions. And for now, I'll end this. Don't forget to check out bookkeepingsidehustle.com/Xero for all my, what I think is good resources about Xero. So adios for now, everyone.
Thank you.
thank you, Kate. Nice to see you guys.
Bye.